What up, everybody? This is really going to be a short video, and it's regarding the whole key card situation on the Nintendo Switch 2 or whatever. People are trying to make all kinds of excuses as to why we got key cards or whatever. I've even heard some people say that some of these games are just too big to fit on a cartridge. Really? Because I'm pretty sure Cyberpunk don't rely on a key card. I think that was one of the very few actual physical games there is, in terms of the third-party games anyway. Well, that and the Mortal Kombat collection. But I do know for a fact that any Nintendo exclusive, regardless of how big that Nintendo exclusive is, will obviously be on the cartridge and won't have to rely on the keycard situation. So why are third parties rely on the keycards? Plain and simple, greed. That's all it is. It just comes down to greed. It would cost them a little bit more to actually put it on a physical cartridge instead of doing the keycard crap. And that's the real reason why we have the keycard crap, which at this point, you might as well just make your games digital only. There's no point in producing a case or artwork or anything like that if we're not going to have an actual cartridge that we can just pop in and play any given time. And since these keycards are pretty much the equivalent of a digital downloadable code or whatever, then they're taking up the same amount of storage as what a digital copy would take up. So, yeah, I'm just saying that with Mario Kart World, okay, that's a pretty big game. You know how much it takes up physically? 200 MBs. It's just a little over 400 MBs for Donkey Kong Bonanza. And again, nobody can sit there and make any kind of excuses saying that these companies just couldn't get their game to fit on the cartridge. Again, both those Nintendo exclusives I just mentioned off are bigger than something like WWE 2K25 or Pac-Man World 2 Repack, or something like that. You can't tell me that those games are bigger than something like Mario Kart World or Donkey Kong Bonanza, because I'd have to say you're full of shit on that. Let's not forget they can get Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom on a cartridge. So, yeah. So at the end of the day, point blank period, it all comes down to corporate greed. But it's whatever. I'm not going to be one of these people who's going to complain about that and then still be part of the problem. What I mean by that is I'm not going to complain about it and then still go out and buy it. No. If I can't get an actual physical copy of the game, I just won't get it. Simple as that. So, yeah. Yes, that means that my Nintendo Switch 2 collection is going to be very, very small, but oh well. The thing's backwards compatible, so I still have plenty of good games I can play on the Switch, like in terms of Switch 1 games. So, yeah. So it's no sweat off my sack whatsoever.